Hello pretties, welcome to Visceral. So this is a very delayed video, one that I should have actually posted like months ago, but I'm just not doing. I digress. Honestly, in retrospect, it's actually a really good thing that I'm doing this later, just because a lot of these products I didn't really get to use very much during 2023, or some of them I bought at the very tail end of the year, and I didn't really get to like know them until today. There's actually one product that I put in like my ranking of all my palettes that I was like, I even said it's like this has the potential to go up higher in the rankings, and sure enough, it did. And that's why it made it into my top five. And I haven't actually said what this video is. So this is the top five, bottom five purchases of 2023. I want to say, except for one of these products, I actually, even though they're duds, I actually enjoy all of these products, and it was just like small things that the reason why I'm having, or not small things, but like color preference, the reason why I'm having to put them lower. That being said, let's start with our dud. I'm gonna go negative, positive, just so we can end on a good note. So I have this. I bought this mini lip set from Tarte, and it comes with like their maracuja line, and it comes with the lip cream formula, the lip plum formula, and then also the juicy lip formula. I already owned a full size of the lip juice or juicy lip formula in the shade raspberry, and I really love this product, specifically this shade. So when this came out, I'm like, oh, there's a great opportunity for me to check out all of the formulas and see if there's anything else that I like. So I bought this set. So I bought this set right here, and I just want to say that this set is highly not inclusive, because as a medium skin tone kind of person, like I'm not too light, I'm not too dark, I'm like right in the middle, and even in the middle I'm kind of on the lighter side of it, and I cannot make this colors work for my skin tone. I cannot imagine someone darker than me actually being able to use this. So I'm just like, how is this gonna work? I do have somewhat pigmented lips, so I do want to say that. And this right here is the shade Mauve, this one. I'm refilming this video. Actually, I already started it and then I had to like toss it. Anyway, my lips are just slightly deeper than this, and it is a bit noticeable. This one's probably the best one that I can pull off out of all of them. However, it's still like, it's noticeable that it's lighter than my skin tone, if that makes sense. So it's a bit of a problem. It's actually really close to my skin tone, to my lip color, but like I said, mine is just a little bit darker and it's just noticeable. This too, I don't know what it is, but they have like a white base and not necessarily a color base to it. It's really strange, because this one looks quite clear here, and this is in the shade of white peach. But let me tell you, white peach wants to fuck me over, okay? Because it actually like, it has like a concealer look to it. It's actually quite pigmented on top of my lips, and I don't like it because it doesn't work for me. Like, it wants to like mute my natural like lip color, and it does not look good. I can make it work if I have something else underneath and I'm just putting this more of like a top gloss, and I'm trying to let the bottom color pop through. But even then I have to make sure that it's a really dark lip color that I have underneath, because otherwise it's gonna change the color a little bit. Because I use this like really deep plum brown shade underneath usually, but it turns out a little more, it ends up looking more mauvey with this white peach. It's quite strange the way it does it, because it, like I say, it does have more pigment. It looks clear here, but it's not. It's deceiving. It has a white base, so it washes out whatever colors underneath, and I do not enjoy that. The shade Rose, it's similar situation. However, I actually find this one to be play way better with others. Even though again it has a similar situation, it just plays much better with others. I think it's because that pinky shade is a little stronger, and so it plays well more with more shades of like pink, you know, essentially. But this just is not inclusive at all, because if I'm having a hard time with it and I'm a light medium skin tone, like I cannot imagine anyone deeper than me having a good time with these. So this set, it just didn't work. It needed to be way more inclusive. And I know that they have shades that can be more inclusive. Hold on a second. I know that they can do it because obviously I have another one that does work for me, and I have other friends I've used borrowed it. I know people gross, but like I don't mind that. And like my friends have been able to use it with no issues. So this is, yeah, that's that. On the flip side of that, Let's try something more positive. I have something, it's kind of like a 2-for-1, and that's because the first time I tried this, I actually bought a duo set of the lip liner. I think it was the shade Bold, and I believe it was either Delight or Serenity. I can't remember. It was one of these two from Rare Beauty, but it came in a little duo, and I ended up trying it as a duo and loved it so much. I actually ended up buying 3 lip liners, and this started a lip liner revolution for me because I had forgotten how I enjoyed lip liners, because I've been trying to pan a lip liner that I do not like, that does not work for my skin tone, and I do not like the formula. So I decided to declutter that lip liner, obviously, because it was not only not bringing me joy to pan that, it was deterring me from the product altogether. And then when I tried this, I was like, wait a minute, I remember I do like lip liners. I have other lip liners I've finished and enjoyed finishing. It's just that one is so bad that I'm starting to hate all lip liners, and that's not actually true. So that being said, these are so nice. I know she calls them a lip oil. I know that there's a lot of like people online, they're like, I think they started developing this when the tints were like a big deal, and it is like oil based, so I think they just like changed the name because oils are like the big deal now. I don't know if that's true or not. What I do know is these are gonna tint your lips, and they are gonna stay stain for a really, really long time. This lasts forever. This lip liners last forever. They're super creamy, they're so easy to use, and I really like this. And I ended up buying 3 of each because I ended up loving me so much. And they look quite similar, I'm not gonna lie to you, like even more so in person than they do on camera. They look quite similar. I don't care because I love them. These were so good. Like these are so good. I just love them. And so these are some of the best purchases of the year. By far, some of the best purchases that I made. Okay. Back on the other side. What did I not enjoy? Now, I bought 4 of these Persona sticks. I actually don't mind all of them. My problem is much so with this shade Jam. Just because if you look at it here, it looks very plum, right? Even if you look here, it looks plum. But when you look at it in my hand, I'm gonna do another swatch here, it's pink fuchsia. Explain this to me. The math is not mathing. Why is it fuchsia? It should be plum. It should be a rich plum. That's not what it is. She echoes my misery. Yeah, so I just do not like this particular shade. I can make it work. It's just not what I wanted, you know? I wanted plum. And I think if I just wanted a pink, I could have, because I have the shade Bloom and Guava already. So this was Bloom. They kind of rubbed off. I said, second time filming this. Bloom is definitely more like pinky, but it's more of a soft pink, and I really like that actually. And then Guava is more like a warm. In retrospect, this ones also do not look like what the little sticker says that they're gonna look like. Like this is what their respectives are. Like these are not it at all either. But I prefer these kinds of shades over something so neon, essentially. So I think that's my biggest problem. I like the formula fine. I think it's great. I can make it work. It's not bad. It's just, it's not what I wanted, you know? We actually have a similar situation to that later. On the flip side, something that I really liked, also in the blush category, is She's Blushing from Patrick Ta. And I just gotta say, this is the kind of shade that I thought it might have been a little too muted for my skin tone, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to make it work. But it's actually quite pigmented, and it builds so much. It actually, I've gone overboard with this blush many times, but because this color shade is actually very forgiving. The formula is beautiful. I don't know if you can tell, but there's like a slight shimmer to the matte or to the powder formula. It's just like, it feels like a paralyzed shadow to a degree. It's honestly gorgeous. It's natural. These two paired together are great. You can wear them on their own. I've definitely used the cream on its own, and I've worn the powder on its own. Gorgeous. So one of the best purchases. On the flip side, one of the worst purchases that I made this year, it's also from Patrick Ta's blush, and this is in the shade Oh She's Different. Now, like I said, this is a color personal preference. In retrospect, this color is just everything I just said was really good about this blush. It's why this blush, it does not quite work for me. Again, the formula works fine. It's just this is really pigmented. So this is just a little too dark for my skin tone. So I have to be very like handed and very careful with this blush. To the point where it's a little too much work to a degree. It blends well and I can make it work, like I say. It's just I have to be really, really careful. And I feel like if I would have just gone in store and swatched it, because I bought both of this online. If I would have just gone in store and like looked at it, I would have known not to go for this shade. Like if I would have seen this in person, I would have been like, yeah, that's not my color. And I would have just bought this, and I would have probably bought the bronzer instead of this one in the She Sculpted, because I've been thinking about it was going to be this or the She Sculpted, and I'm buying this pinky one because I wasn't sure if this was going to be like deep enough. I digress. That being said, I like both of them. It's just this is one of the best purchases. This is one of the worst purchases. I should have seen it in. I should have gone in store and looked at it. That's learning lesson. Learning lesson. Okay, so we just did it. Oh, she's we just did a bad purchase. So let's do a really good purchase. The Butter Tom Multi-Dimension palette. I really love this fucking palette. It's basic as hell, but at that time, I was really debating buying this one or the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. And I decided to buy this one instead. Because I went in store, which I should have done with that blush, and swatched the shades in I Need a Nude. And 3 out of the 5 mattes that they had, of like the cool tone mattes, looked very ashy on me. So I was not sure. So I was not going to buy a palette that I couldn't use all the shades, right? So then I had this one. And actually, even though these ones are more cool toned, then none of them look ashy on me. I can make them work, blend everything really, really well. The sun's setting, that's where the light's going, so I had to hurry up. So these are really, this actually do work for my skin tone, no issues. And then you have these more warm tone shades. I was nervous, like, are they orange based? And honestly not. This one has a little bit more orange tint to it, but it's actually not that bad. Sorry, not that one. It was this one. Has a little bit more orange tint to it, but it's not that bad when it actually looks orange. It's truly just a warm brown. And I have no problem with it. It's super easy. I really like this cream shades. I said this before, I'll say it again. He needs to come out with like individual duos of these because these are so good. I have like a hair stuck in my mouth. There you go. These are so good. He needs to come out with like individual singles or like small duos that you can like, like break up on its own. But this palette, gorgeous. Gorgeous. But it's one of the best purchases. So good, so good. Okay, on to the last. Is it the last? No, we have 2 more. I have concealer from REM Beauty. This is the only thing I've ever owned from REM Beauty. I've never really had an interest in the brand. It's not for me. Everything that I've seen online, those are not the kind of things that I'm attracted to. And I've never heard like particularly rave reviews about the brand in general to like feel like, oh, I need to buy that and try it at least because everyone's talking about it, right? Except for this concealer. I feel like a lot of people give it a lot of like hype, and specifically about the amount of coverage it gives. And somebody who really struggles with her under eyes, I was like, this could be the answer to all my struggles. I need more pigment under my under eyes because I have really, really bad dark circles from literally being insomniac since I was like 5 years old. So I've never slept good, and I've had awful dark circles. And so I was thinking that this was going to be like the answer to my prayers. First off, my Milani has more pigment in this. It's more high coverage on this, so like that aside. But honestly, I just don't like the formula. It's not awful formula if you pair it with something else, but if you wear this concealer on its own, it's gonna be crease central because it creases. It's thick. It's so thick. It's so thick. I don't understand how it's like it looks heavy under the eyes. If you compare it with something else, that's the way I found looks the best. If you have another concealer underneath and then you're kind of just like using this to get a little bit of extra pigment underneath the other formula, I think that kind of thins it out a little bit, but on its own, it does not work. And I don't know if it's because in a pot shape, I'm not too familiar with how to use pot concealers because this is the first one I've owned pot concealer, but I've used this kind of shades before as color correctors. I never had an issue, so I don't know. I don't like it. I think I can make it work if I wear another concealer underneath, but on its own, no ma'am. Just no ma'am. Okay. On the flip side of that, the best color corrector and concealer duo, it's no surprise. I feel like everyone and their mother is talking about it. The Natasha Denona. Oh my gosh. It's actually what I'm wearing today. I have never, oh my god, something I've never been more impressed by this before. I always had a hard time buying color correctors because, again, I'm a medium skin tone, so a lot of things tend to be either too light or too dark, and it's kind of hard to find like the right in the middle shade. But the way these are set up is essentially they have like an array of shades, anywhere between like 8 or 12 shades, somewhere in there, and then they have like a corresponding color corrector that is in there, and that's how they break it up. So I knew that in my head I knew that I was N9, and I was like pretty confident that this was my shade. So I got the corresponding color corrector, and I was right. This is probably one of the best shade matches I've ever done online, because there was no way for me to actually see them in store because I don't have them at the Sephora's in store. So this was all a guess online, and I did such a good job. I'm such a good job. This by far is probably the best color corrector I've ever tried, and I'm constantly trying color correctors. There was another color corrector that if I hadn't tried this one, I would have probably put this one in place as the Sigma one. But honestly, this is so good. Like, these two are so good. This is a really, really high coverage. I still think the Milani has more coverage than this, if I'm being honest. But this formula is so much nicer than Milani one. So I still love the Milani one. I think that one's great because, again, it's the most high coverage concealer I've ever tried. This is honestly like not that far behind. The Milani has a really good formula, but this is even more lightweight. It almost doesn't look like you have anything on. I'm actually wearing like this right now. I have a couple of like, I've worn it for a couple of hours, so it's a little fading, especially where my glasses go, but it still looks so smooth. You can still see my dark circles peeking through because honestly they're very dark. It doesn't completely cover them up, but this is honestly one of the best. This is one of the best coverages I've ever gotten with a color corrector and concealer combo, so I'm not mad. And I actually really like it. I think it looks more natural, and yeah, this is my new holy grail. I'm gonna have to keep purchasing these two, and it sucks because these are 30 fucking bucks, but I'm gonna have to wait for the sales or something, because this I'm gonna have to just keep repurchasing. I'm done looking. I found the one. I've seen the light. They're so good. I can never go back. I could never go back. On the flip side of Natasha Denona, my last worst purchase is from Natasha Denona. In retrospect, I don't dislike this palette. I actually love the color story, which is why I like impulse bought it almost. But I should have waited like a year or two, because you know she's gonna come out of this in like a mini, like the 5 pans, and I should have done that. Like I feel like anyone that bought the Xeon palette, the 15 pan palette, I'm like, you could have just bought the 5 pan, which either came out right before or right after, or so it was out shortly after. I should have just waited for the 5 pan, because I do not think I needed 15 of like similar khaki shades. These are my perfect kinds of greens. I love these kinds of colors. I really, really like this formula. The formula is honestly fabulous, and the shimmers are gorgeous. But I need to be realistic. This is a very monochromatic palette to a degree, and this is just, I could have just waited for the 5 pan. I love it, and I don't regret it whatsoever, but I could have waited for the 5 pan. I just could have waited for the 5 pan. I really do like it though. That color story is me in a bottle. Me in a palette, actually. Anyway, on the flip side, last of the best, I do want to make an honorary mention to the Sigma and Angela Bright palette. Honorary mention, it just barely did not make it in my top 5. Honestly, just barely. It's very beautiful. I really, really enjoy it, but I haven't played with it as much since I bought it. So I think I need to play with it a little bit more. I think it's gorgeous. I like it way more than I thought I was gonna like it, to be honest. And I had almost given up on Sigma palettes until this one came along, and it's because I love Angela, and I was like, if Angela's doing it, I like the color story, I'm gonna give Sigma Beauty eyeshadows one more chance, essentially. And I decided to do that, but I just haven't played with it as much, and this next palette honestly caught me by surprise. But this one, gorgeous. Honestly, so gorgeous. Honorary mention, almost made it. Almost made it. My last top 5 purchase of the year, the Makeup of Mario Ethereal Eyes palette. Who would have thought? Let me tell you, when this palette came out, I bought it like a year and a half later. I bought it at the very, very end of 2023. I think I had like a week or two left of the year, and I decided to buy it at that time. And I still stand by what I said about these little shimmers right here. They are not as impactful as the Urban Decay window shadows, and if that's what you want, you should definitely go for that. I actually think those have a way more shifty finish, and I personally like them just a little bit more. These ones feel almost wet to the touch. They feel like a glittery Super Shock shadow, but they're not as bam in your face. They're more like reflective. It's kind of hard to explain. They're just not as, they don't have as much glitter, if that makes sense. There you go. It's like a little bit more subtle. It doesn't have as much glitter packed in. For example, if I almost lost you there. I'm trying to find like a glittery topper from ColourPop. Oh, this is a good one. This in the shade Frog from ColourPop, and it has a similar putty texture to this one. This one's actually obviously more creamy, but see that's just, there's way more glitter in those. This one's a little bit more subtle. And another one here is the Windows, and this is Space Cowboy. Space Sky. I think the Windows is a closer formula match, so if I'm being honest. But even that one, you see it's way more reflective, and this one has more of a clear base, while this one right here has a slight colored, base to it, which I personally enjoy more. So I still stand by what I said. However, all of that being said, I do think these kinds of shade have a time and a moment, and I think what I really like doing is actually pairing this on top of, like, doing like an all matte look and then just putting this on like a wash of color on top. I think it has a beautiful, like, subtle effect, and it looks very beautiful. Or putting this on top of this like shimmery, what's it called, shimmery brown chocolate shade. It actually ends up looking, if I combine these two or these two, it actually looks like Lithium from the Window Shadows from what's it called? Let's do it, why not? It actually looks like Lithium. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I have that shade right there, and then I have this on top. See, it kind of has that sparkle. Kind of lost this. It lost the sparkle. Let me add a little more. See? And then if I, on the flip side, grab Lithium. So let me get that. Not the shade, here we go. Lithium. It's also from the Mundo Shadow. My fingers are all fucked up now. See, they kind of look alike, but again, Lithium has just a bigger, higher shine. Anyway, I really like it. I think it has its time and its moment. The palette really caught me by surprise. I actually had to put it away from my Shop My Stash last time I did a Shop My Stash. I had to like put it away because I wasn't using any of my other palettes in my Shop My Stash. I've used it more than like 12 times already in the year, maybe more, to be honest. I have to look to how many times, but I honestly have just really enjoyed the shit out of it. I really enjoyed it. I like doing more cool tone, more warm tones. This shade right here, I actually have a dip in it. I really, really, really enjoy this palette and this formula. So not mad about it at all. There you go. Anyway, that's it. The sun has come and gone. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.